Sir? Oh, whoa, FBG Butter. We're not doing that today, dog. We're not doing that today, FBG Butter. We're not doing that today. Let me get my stand right. We're not doing that today, dog. Not today, bro. Because today, we just got to set the record straight about something. Some little thing, you understand? And then when we get it right, hopefully you understand from moving on and, going forward, you know, you understand exactly what's really going on in the world. You get me? So I hope that I know rather that this is gonna be a real good one for sure, dog. And I want to implore you guys to make sure you're getting your rest, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, to make sure that you're choosing you first before you do anything. You understand? I'm gonna give it about another minute. I just need like 1 to 2 people, dog, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I usually my rule of thumb was usually about 3 people, but again, I've been kind of like super inconsistent with posting these thumbnails, so that's on me. But yeah, let's give it about another 45 seconds, and then we're just gonna go ahead and run it. Because I think we got some good information today for sure. For sure. For sure. For certain, rather. For certain. I think I'm going to start with the, by the way, this is just kind of like a little side note. Have your own mind. You feel me? Like, if you got a problem with something or somebody, have a problem with something or somebody and handle that on your own free will. Don't let anybody try to influence you, to try to like team up, to try to like do something just because, they arms little. You feel me? We big dogs around here and we handle our own mess. You know what I mean? We usually don't get in no mess, but if we do get in some mess, we handle our own mess. And that's a fact, and that's for certain. So let's see, we right at about 2:30, 2:45. I'm gonna just run it, dog. I'm gonna just run it after 2:45, and that's about 15 seconds. Okay, because we gotta set the record straight on some stuff, dog. We gotta set the record straight on some stuff, dog. Yeah, man, what's wrong with talking to yourself? In order to have a relationship with yourself, you gotta talk to yourself. I don't have no problem with talking to myself. You know what I mean? I don't have any issue with talking to myself. Anyways, let's go ahead and run it. So today, my good and lovely people, I appreciate y'all that's gonna be watching this back. And for those of y'all that's just casually jumping in, I go by the name SOLARMAN. I'm out of here for real. With my thought process, with the way that I approach things, with the way that I handle situations, I'm just out of here, dog. So if you can, and if you may, don't forget to double tap this screen, give us a like, share, comment, and subscribe, because we are the biggest, by the way. And we are going to be talking about something that's actually very casual, not really casual, but something that's very specific to what's going on nowadays. Yeah, man, I feel you, dog. But yeah, I mean, I can understand like the sentiment before I get into my topics. I can understand the sentiment of like talking to yourself and, not having like an audience, you know what I mean? But in order to build what's called a consistency, you got to speak as if I'm speaking to 100 people in this live, or speak as if I'm speaking to, a plethora of people in this live. My confidence is that high, and it's not because of anything that I'm cooler or anything than anybody. It's just because I'm consistent and I know my own worth. You know what I mean? But anyways. For those of y'all that's gonna be watching this back, today I just want to set the record straight about some stuff because I keep seeing this word get thrown around. I can't see. We're going full solo mode today. You know what I mean? We just gotta go full solo mode right away. Today, I want to talk about something that's important. Let me wipe off the screen because let me be professional about that. We gotta talk about something that's important. Something that's important. What's up, guys? What's up, everybody? I got some faces in here that I haven't seen before, so it's a pleasure to be talking to you guys. Again, I go by the name SOLARMAN. It's nice to have you guys here. Today, we're talking about Semitic. I'm talking about Marco Rubio, Trump, Netanyahu, Israel, Palestine, But we also talking about Semitism and what that is. Does anybody know what Semitic means? Because, you know, I hear this word thrown around a lot. That's anti-Semitic, or this is anti-Semitism, or, you know, and it's usually from people who, and don't correct me if I'm wrong, and I know I'm not wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, aren't Semitic. Does anybody know what Semitism? And you can get in a lot of trouble for having anti-Semitic tropes. You know what I mean? Welcome, man. I appreciate you being here, Ms. Johnson. It's nice to see you. Does anybody know, can any of you people tell me, though, again, for those of y'all that's going to be watching this back, I want you guys to comment under this live as well, because I think it's an important conversation. Can anybody tell me what Semitism means? I'll beat you there. Semitism has to do with Semitic regions, and these regions are regions that lie in Africa. And these regions spoke various amounts of languages between Aramaic, Hebrew, Arabic, and I think a couple other. Anyways, you notice I said the word Africa. So, for example, let me give you an example of somebody that just got in trouble for anti-Semitic gestures. There's a wide receiver that plays for, he's a cornerback or he's a wide receiver that plays for the Los Angeles Rams who just got in trouble for doing an anti-Semitic dance. And the Anti-Defamation League, which is ran by Jewish people, just demanded the NFL to make him issue an apology, or they demanded that he be let go from the team. Okay, cool. And you might be like, well, anybody who does anything disparagingly, you know, bad, anybody who does anything bad to a particular group of people should be like what? Should be, punished for that, or there should be some type of consequence for this. You know, is that, that's what you would think, right? I wouldn't disagree with you, but again, let's talk about what Semitism, I just told you what Semitism is. It's a series of languages, and it defines a group of people who come from Africa, right? And the people that are usually holding people accountable for Semitism or for anti-Semitic remarks are not people that range from these Semitic regions. So they are not Semitic by any means of the definition. By definition, this is not a racial trope. This is we're being definitive here. There is no definitive Semitic person that gets mad at somebody for doing anti-Semitic tropes, because the people that are getting mad about anti-Semitism aren't Semitic by any means of the definition. By any means, thought it was natural news, not European. I don't know what you mean by that. Thought it was natural news, not European. I don't know what you mean by that, Ms. Johnson. Name a car for edit. No. How about you? Yeah, I don't have time for that today. I don't got time for that today. Stick to the topic. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let me just tell you what the guy did. So the guy supposedly did a dance or something to the effect that was like against Jews. It was an anti-Jewish dance. So before I talk about the dance, which I haven't seen, by the way, I did not know that there was an anti-Jewish dance. And again, notice my air quotes. I'm going to define my air quotes in just a second. But I've never known that there was an anti-Jewish dance. Again, because I don't even know what these Jewish people are talking about, because I don't believe that they're Semitic. So as I get into that, let's just talk about, again, what these people, the stronghold that these people have on culture and language. So there are many instances and there are many times, for example, if I was to make a whole video and my channel, was a little bit more bigger and I had a bigger platform, and I made a whole video on the quote unquote Jews or the quote unquote Semitic people, I would probably get flagged, or I would get flagged, or I would get penalized for anti-Semitism or hate speech. But what I'm saying isn't hateful. And, the truth, I don't believe, is ever hateful. I think the truth is the truth. And if you feel some type of way about the truth, I think it's because you have an insecurity relating to you not really adhering to what the truth is. So, again, there was a cornerback who got in trouble and had to issue an apology because he did an anti-Semitic dance. Now, again, I'm not for people bullying groups of people just because it's, I'm not for making fun of people. just because you think you can or just because you think it's funny. You know, historically speaking, marginalized groups have been made fun of by, the majority. So, I'm not for bullies. I'm not for bullying of any kind. So now that we got that out of the way, again, let's go back to the definition of Semitism and what Semitic is. Again, Semitic is from the regions of Africa where the languages of Aramaic, Arabic, Hebrew, and all these type of things have Afro-Asiatic regions, and the regions where this type of where that language derived from, Afro-Asiatic regions. So if we understand what Afro-Asiatic means, then we understand that the people who are currently claiming to be Jews and currently claiming to be Semitic are not Jews and they're not Semitic. They might adhere to a religion, and again, Jew is not. Jew is it's a religion. It's not really a racial identity, but we kind of we get caught up in this gray area of relating religions to, we just get caught up in the majority story. In the majority story, the people that we believe that are these Jews, like the people that are in Israel right now, we believe that they're Jews and they're not. They're adhering to a Jewish language. To a Jewish language and a Jewish religion and culture. But as far as being Semitic people, they are not. They are not by any means of the definition, by any means of the imagination. They are not. Actually, what they are is just Eastern European converts. And I talk about that kind of frequently on this channel, but I feel the need to really sit here and define this to you so we understand each other moving forward. So this is that official video. Why am I talking about this and why does it matter? One, because again, I'm tired of people using words and things that they don't, that's not true. I'm tired of people hijacking culture that's not theirs. It's one thing for you to be a follower of culture and to be a follower of language, but to sit here and pretend as if you're the actual historical figures of this culture is just it's a fallacy, it's a lie, and it's evil. It's evil because it's deceitful. It's outwardly deceitful. So now that we got that out the way and we understand what Semitism is, again, Semitism is Semitic being related to the regions of Africa where these languages derive from. I just told you what these languages were. There's multiple languages, but I just named a few: Arabic, Aramaic, and Hebrew. These languages come from Africa. They do not range from anywhere else. They do not come from Europe. They do not come from a Middle East. This Middle Eastern term is a 20th century New Age term. These people like to make up words and they like to keep you in a box. What's up with it, bro? They like to keep you in a box to make you feel like, you don't know what you're talking about. But these people, again, like to hijack culture. This is not a racial thing. This is just, let's just get the record straight so we understand each other. Because again, on this platform, we just only spit facts. So again, we're just understanding each other. I understand you now. Hopefully you understand me. Cool. Netanyahu. Who is Netanyahu? Netanyahu is the prime minister, really overlord, dictator of the state of Israel. How long has Israel been a state? If I'm not mistaken, Israel has been a state since about the 1950s, 60s. Maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. My timeline might be a little off on that. Who is Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio is a Secretary of State. He's also a far-right conservative liar and weenie. And that's my personal opinion. But I'm going to tell you why I think he's a liar and he's a weenie. Because I think he's selective because of his political, financial, and probably corruption ties that he has with the state of Israel. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. So, again, we understand what Semitism is. Netanyahu is the tyrant of Israel. He's also the warlord that's responsible for killing thousands and thousands of innocent men, women, and children on a daily basis. He's responsible for that. And what is our government? What does Marco Rubio and what does Trump have to do with a Netanyahu right now? I hope you're following me. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. What does our government have to do with a group of people that claim to be Semitic? Again, we just define that they're not. So they're already, they're already hijacked the culture in that regard. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. But what does our government have to do with this group of people that claim to have divine rights to a holy land that has never been meant for those type of people, or particularly people that look like them for sure? Well, let's start with our president. You all know our president, Donald J. Trump. He promised to be the most pro-Israel president ever. Why would he do something like that? Well, I didn't put this in my thumbnail and I didn't write this down for my topic today, but I'm gonna go ahead and mention it very briefly before I bring in Marco Rubio and introduce him into this conversation as well further. Well, one of the reasons that he might do that is, or there's two reasons really. One of the reasons is because of, I'm gonna relate this back to Epstein, is because Trump is on a list that we all know about, and one of the reasons that he got elected, his main platform for election was talking about releasing an Epstein file, or the black book of the Epstein client list, or the visitation list. The black book, the black book is the most important file. That's got all the stuff that you people want to see. Who came the most frequent. What were their preferences as far as the type of women or little girls that they wanted to be around, etc. All the dirty details is in that black book. So Epstein was also a quote unquote Jew. This is all coming together. Just follow me. Epstein was a quote unquote Jew as well. He was also a very personal friend of Trump, and he was also pro-Israel as well. So I hope you're following me. So Trump promised to be the most pro-Israel president ever. Why would he do that? Because he has ties that you and I are not aware of. Again, I just told you that he has ties that goes back to things that are going to get him eventually in federal prison for the rest of his life if this current administration doesn't get away with outright abuse and power overhaul by sanctioning the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, who is trying to sanction Donald Trump for war crimes and stuff like that there. So Trump has Israeli ties before he even became president. He has Russian ties before he even became president. But we're not talking about Russia right now. We're going to focus on Israel. He has ties to Epstein. We know this to be true, but he also stated and he presented himself as a innocent bystander while this monster got away with human trafficking, child sacrifice, mutilation, etc. So that's who Trump is. Let's introduce Marco Rubio real quick. Marco Rubio is also extremely pro-Israel. He's extremely far-right conservative, and he's extremely against the ICC. And again, that's the International Criminal Court, because the ICC wants to prosecute Netanyahu for war crimes against humanity, again, for blowing up and killing and murdering, the mass murdering of innocent women, children, babies, and men. Blowing up hospitals, schools, businesses, etc. I mean, whenever that happens, the audio cuts out. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me still? Let me get a thumbs up, thumbs down. Can we still hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down. Can y'all hear me? Y'all let me know. Talk to me. Talk to me. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Somebody let me know something. Can y'all hear me? Yo, yo, yo. Y'all not talking to me. So I guess y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Yes? No? I'm just going to continue with the conversation. Ain't nobody saying nothing. G's OPs, guys. Y'all usually let me know something right away. Well, anyways, I'm just going to continue with the conversation. So Marco Rubio has promised to sanction the International Criminal Court if they continue to make disparaging. We hear you, bro, for sure. Y'all late, you late now, bro, but I appreciate you. Marco Rubio has promised to make sanctions against the International Criminal Court if they continue the rhetoric as if they're going to prosecute a Netanyahu or Donald Trump for their war crimes against humanity or for their ignoring of just international law and basic human rights that govern, international law. Marco Rubio is also the same person who is vehemently against Venezuela. Venezuela, are on our southern border, because you know how the U.S. right now is infiltrating and invading illegally Venezuela without proper documentation. Because they say that Venezuelans carry many drugs, are issuing many drugs into our country. Venezuelans, that's the same reason that we have an ICE task force. That's the same reason that we have all this stuff going on, is because Marco Rubio and this Trump administration, they say that Venezuelan gangs and criminals are bringing in, all of these illicit drugs, guns, murderers, gangs, rapists, etc. They're bad people. That's what our administration would like you to believe. So right now, what we're doing, I'm all tying this to Semitism and all that. Don't worry about it. Just follow me. So what we're doing right now in Venezuela is an atrocity and it's war crimes, again, against humanity. And we will be prosecuted at some point for this. We will have our day in court. But until then, what we're doing is war crimes. We're doing a coup d'etat in Venezuela where we're trying to get rid of the current president because he's not pro-Israel and he's not pro-America. He's pro-Venezuela. And we don't like that as Americans because we're bullies, we're liars, and currently we're fascists. So that's the country that you live in as of today. Also, I'm not done with Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is the same guy who is vehemently against Venezuela. He's vehemently opposed the leadership. He's vehemently opposed Venezuelan gangs. He says we need to get them out of here. We need to get them out of our country. He's against all of this stuff. But do you guys know what Marco Rubio has done with his power? For him to be such anti-gangs, anti-drugs, etc. Marco Rubio's stepbrother has been arrested. He was arrested some years ago, actually, while Marco Rubio was in power as a senator in Florida. Marco Rubio's stepbrother, brother-in-law or whatever, in case, through marriage, his brother was arrested for drug trafficking and selling millions and millions of dollars worth of narcotics. What did Marco Rubio do about this? Marco Rubio used his Senate power in his position to allow his brother not only to help get him freedom, but also make sure that he has a high position when he got out. So he helped a criminal. He helped a drug dealing criminal, that he's so vehemently against. He made sure that his brother got a real estate license in order to, maintain that money, maintain that lifestyle, as much as possible. Because, when you selling dope, I've never done it, but I can imagine when you selling dope on that large scale, going from millions of dollars to making a few dollars in prison, where you belong, it's kind of like hard, So when his brother got out through the help of his senator brother, Marco Rubio made sure that his brother had, some money in his pocket. But this is the same guy that is waging war against a poor country just because he can, because he's a liar, he's a weenie, and he's not a good person. I don't like him. I beat him up personally. I punched Marco Rubio right in his shit in front of his wife and kids and everything. I promise you I would. Because I don't like bullies, and I really, really don't like liars. And he's a bully and he's a liar. Marco Rubio is the topic of discussion today. And before I get further in that, let's see what you're talking about. We hear you, bro, for sure. Hello, sir. Do you think your ancestors are women? Do you think your ancestors are aware of any importance until the All right. I'm going to try to read this the way I believe you intended it to be written. Hello, sir. Do you think your ancestors are from or aware of any importance until the transatlantic slave trade began. I believe what you're asking me is, do I believe that my ancestors were in different regions other than sub-Saharan Africa before the Atlantic were of any importance until, do you think your ancestors were of any importance until the transatlantic slave trade began? I don't know if you're being facetious with that comment, meaning if you have some underlying like issue with my people, but I'll entertain that question. Yes, my people are the foundation of the world. My people are the architects of the modern world. My people are the creators of culture of the modern world and of the old world as well. Let me prove it to you in a few points. One of the points that my people were not only influential in your native countries as well of Europe, because through travel and conquest, like through the Moors, which were Muslim, but through the Muslim Moors that were in Africa, West Africa, North Africa, and Central Africa, they traveled all of the known world almost at the same time and thousands of years before a person named by the name of Alexander the Great. They introduced bathing techniques throughout Europe. They also introduced a barter and trade system throughout Europe, and they also introduced, like I just said, maintenance and body cleaning tendencies throughout Europe. That's just in Europe. But let's talk about their North American influences and their South American influence as well. There's not one continent on this planet that we're aware of that you can go where blacks have not had influence first. So everything from the airplane to the train to the modern day medicine system, not Western medicine, but, actual medicine that Western medicine copies, from traditional Eastern medicine, has all come from Western, Central, Northern, Eastern, Southern African traditions, all of it. There's not one thing in culture, period. And if you want to relate this back to a philosophical debate, the philosophers also studied in Timbuktu, which is a West African civilization. They also studied in ancient Kemet, which you would relate to as ancient Egypt. African influence is currently the influence that has influenced the whole world. But through colonialism and European propaganda, that has kind of been like whitewashed, literally, and swept under the rug. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know. Maybe you're a bot. I don't even know if you're real. You can't even trace your ancestry beyond the 1800s. We can. Now you're attacking me personally, and I don't know you personally to care about your opinion about me personally. So I'll continue to move forward with my conversation, but I'll address this. I'll address that last comment very briefly, just because I think it's interesting. You can't even trace your ancestry. This is a cooking lesson too, guys. And for those of y'all in the back of the class, and those of y'all that's gonna be watching this back, this is a good example of let's see. I don't know if you're racist or a bigot. I'll assume that you're a bigot. And a bigot doesn't believe that my people are of any of importance. So that's what you are. You're a bigot. So let me entertain your idea. I can't trace my lineage past the 1800s. You're saying that I can't trace my lineage past slavery. And to some degree, you would be correct. But also you're insinuating as if I had anything to do with that, or as if that makes me less of an intellectual or less of a person because of things that were outside of my control. And you, ma'am, sir, whatever the case you are, robot, whatever you are, the only reason that you can trace your lineage is because it was through white nationalism throughout the known world. It was made to a point that whites would be propagated and would be set highly above any other race. The only reason that you know speak through me, Lord. The only reason that you know your race and your history is because your history was the only thing that was taught in this Rothschild style education. Had I not grown on this Western side of the world, I would have been just like you. I would know exactly. I could be able to trace my lineage, pretty far. And you don't know my lineage, so you're just making assumptions about me because you're a bigot and because you're kind of like you're willfully retarded. And people like you, I don't like. I don't mind really insulting you, but I'll keep this kind of like civil. I'm gonna stay on that topic just a little bit before I get to this Israel thing. That's probably why you commented, because you don't like how I'm talking about Israel, the made up fallacy state of liars and murderers. So before I get back to that, let me just focus on this and this rhetoric of, because this is what bigots like to do. They like to say, ha 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 ha, you people were slaves, ha 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 ha, you people don't know your history, ha 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 ha, you people are basically shit people. So let's focus on that point. Even though my people have been purposely set aside to fail, purposely mass incarcerated to be the slave class, purposely set up to be infected with all types of diseases, going all the way back from slave times and then through Jim Crow, and then from things in testing on our bloodline like Tuskegee trials and giving us cancerous chemicals in our atmosphere, particularly in lower class neighborhoods, which you would call ghettos. Even though we've intentionally been attacked, our whole senses of being, literally my people are the manufacturers of the known world. You would not have filament. You know what a filament is? You probably don't, because you're not that smart. But what a filament is a thing that makes your light bulb code on. You wouldn't have that if not for my people. You ever wash clothes? You wouldn't be able to wash your clothes if it wasn't for my people. You ever drove a car? You wouldn't be able to drive your car if it wasn't for my people. You know what I mean? So those are just a few examples. Being that we are such a deplorable race, being that we're such an abominable species to, a Neanderthal DNA spouted person like yourself, it's kind of like we're kind of like better than you. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do a race debate, but I'm just saying, being that we're such a shit class, we kind of like influence the whole world, being that we're a shit class. You know what I mean? Being that we're a shit class, we kind of influence the whole world. But I'm not a racist. I would never, just because particular groups of your people have been the worst groups, the worst humans in humankind and human history, I wouldn't subject your whole race to insults because of the rhetoric of a lot of your people. You know what I mean? I would just want to educate you. And, even I don't even want to do that, because you don't want to be educated. You just want to be bigoted. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't like you. Anyways, moving forward. Marco Rubio. Do you guys know that, again, Marco Rubio, the same person that's so anti-drugs, that's so anti-corruption, is the same person that has deep Israeli state ties to Israel, is the same person that, again, freed his brother, or got our petition to get his brother free, a criminal, and made sure that this criminal was able to get a real estate license, even though he's a felon. Now, I don't know the conditions on real estate. I did not Google, look that up as I was researching this topic, but I just know that it's kind of ironic that somebody that's so that's so against criminals and bringing drugs into this country would help out a criminal like his brother. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, what's the word? That's just kind of like ironic to me. You know what I mean? That's just kind of ironic to me. So anyways, now that we understand who this Marco Rubio character is, let's talk about why these people have such strong ties to an Israel state, and this Israel state that kills and murders innocent people. Like, why would you have such strong ties to that? I'm white, and those questions and statements piss me off. Good job. I appreciate you being here, Miss Nikki. And again, I do hope, and I'm good at snapping. So I do hope that my comments aren't coming off as facetious. But when one particular ethnic group, kind of like, let's just talk about this real quick. Kind of like my ethnic group is kind of like the punching bag for like everybody. You know what I mean? Like, whenever somebody wants to insult us, either they try to insult our race, they try to insult our history, or they try to insult our general culture. And then when that doesn't work, they'll just drop the hard R. They'll just drop the nigger word. You know what I mean? As a final cause of showing you that you aren't worth anything, to show you your value. And I'm kind of like, it used to infuriate me that these people would have the audacity to have such childish means of communication. But now that I'm older and more mature in myself, I realize that these people, the reason that they're so childish and the reason that they're so aggressive with their words is because they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They in order for them to feel more valuable as a person, they have to make me feel less valuable as a human being. And I'm kind of like more superior than that. You know what I mean? And that's not because of my race, it's just because of my awareness. You know what I mean? So back to the original conversation, we have the most pro-Israel president of all time, and we have one of the most pro-Israel secretaries of state of all time. And both of these guys are warmongering war criminals. So these warmongering war criminals, again, they're supporting a state of Israel where these people are claiming to have historical right to it. And that's part of Marco Rubio's, that's part of his, what's the word? Part of his defense for defending Netanyahu against the ICC, the International Criminal Court, is because he's like, these people are just defending their homeland, their God-given historical homeland. And we just define what Semitic is, right? We just define where this Jewish ancestor, where Jews come from, right? And since we just define that, again, it's all originating and coming from Africa. We just understand. Now that we understand that, we can understand that he's defending lies. So if he's defending lies on that end, what else is he lying about? And I just told you that he just freed his brother, while he was senator in Florida for doing the exact same thing that he's prosecuting and that he's hunting. What's the word? That he's hunting Venezuelans about. We just talked about that. These people are liars. These people are murderers and they're liars. So why is he defending? Why would they defend a place where not only do a lot of our tax dollars go, by the way, Israeli children get free education and free healthcare. Families get free, children get free education, and their families get free healthcare. I don't know if you guys knew that, but why is he defending a place that is committing open genocide right now? You remember the Epstein thing I just said earlier? Well, Marco Rubio's name is on that too. So what am I getting at? I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna mention it again. Have you ever heard of AIPAC? You ever heard of AIPAC? AIPAC, well, for those of y'all that have never heard of AIPAC, let me just tell you, yeah, I know my hair look crazy right now. That's why I'm wearing this hat. Let me just tell you what AIPAC is. AIPAC, again, for those of us that's gonna be watching this back, AIPAC is a American Israeli American Israeli interest group where Israeli officials have direct ties to senators and government officials to make sure that pro-Israel policies and conversations are being had whenever things get introduced or passed in our parliament. So basically, they're Israeli goons that make sure that they're paid for politicians do what they paid them to do. And Marco Rubio is one of the people that got paid to be pro-Israel. But why, you might be like, but why, other than money, would he be so interested in pro-Israel again, which is literally war criminals? Like, why would he be so pro that? Like, why? Like, why would he be like that? He's on the Epstein list, for one. He's on the Epstein list. That means he's a pedophile. Or if he's not a pedophile, that means he's associated and been in the same room with known child sex abusers. And also, with that same rhetoric being said, that also means that there's some tape or there's some dirt on him. These people hang together, and these people all do the same things together. So that's who Marco Rubio is. That's who Trump is. Trump is the most pro-Israelite president ever because he's involved deeply with the state of Israel because, again, he was one of the main people for not only business development in Israel and Russia, but also on like a Jeffrey Epstein type of list. Trump is a criminal. And I don't say that just because I don't agree with him politically, which I do not, but he's literally, by definition, he's a criminal. Marco Rubio, not because I don't agree with him politically, but literally by definition, he's a criminal. And what do these criminals decide to do with our tax dollars and our taxes? Well, not only outside of destroying our White House on a daily basis, outside of doing that, and outside of sending our tax dollars to Ukraine or to Israel, and giving them free education and healthcare, and we can't get that over here. Outside of doing that, what they like to do on their free time is they also like to sanction off land in New York City, millions of dollars worth of land for a Trump library. Because again, I've told you guys in earlier videos that these people, these 2020 Project 2025 people, have no intention on Sleepy Trump not being in office come 2028 if he lives that long. These people have no intention on following the Constitution as it currently is. That's why they're moving so hard to make sure that they have a majority in the House. That way they're able to ratify the Constitution indefinitely. In simpler words, they want to get as many people who think like them, who have this white nationalist propaganda like them, who are far-right conservatives like them in the House, so that when they vote to change the Constitution, they can do it. And then when they vote to change the Constitution and they vote to make sure that presidents can run for as many terms as they're elected, they also want to keep their selves in power. They'll also do things to make sure that they keep themselves in power too, at least for the next 10 to 20 to 30, 40 years, however long. We are becoming Russia. We are becoming China. We are becoming Israel's footstool. Make sure your people know who their real dads are. You might not even be a real person. Like, let me see. You might not even be a real person. I'm not going to ban you from my page just because I love the bigotry. Like, I love that your only arguments is to insult me and to insult my culture. But you can't insult facts. Like, did you hear me when I said that we invented the light bulb? Not Thomas Edison. That we invented the filament in the light bulb. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Or the reason you can wash clothes is because of my people? Did you hear me? Or you can't see past your own ignorance because you're willfully retarded. And that's okay to be a retard. I've been dumb in some things. I'm just not willfully retarded though. I used to be bigoted. I used to be bigoted too. I used to not like you people just because of, like if I think that you look like you vote and you think a certain type of way, I used to not like you just because of how you looked. So I used to be bigoted too. So like, I resonate. Like, that's why, I don't get mad at you people. I don't even feel sorry for you. I just think that you're kind of like a waste of space. I just don't think that you contribute anything to society, unlike my people, unlike me. Like how I'm having a meaningful conversation where I'm providing a factual context and I have actual things and points of substance to say, and then you don't have anything to say. So your only point of contention is to try to make me feel lesser than. I just told you your whole playbook. I'm superior than you. You're a moron and you're wasting space. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, robot? So what they do with our tax dollars and what they do with our money is that they spend it on things like building a Trump library in New York City. You know what else they did in New York City? That Trump, because Trump is like, not only is he a native of New York City, but he's also historically been like, in the, what's the word? He's also historically been a part of making sure that New York feels his presence. You know what I mean? He also historically makes sure that New York feels his presence. Like, for example, like when Central Park 5, he took out whole pages in the New York Times to make sure that these black people were prosecuted. But he never cared about the murders that happened in his Trump Tower. He never cared about the racial discriminations that happened under his buildings. that he lost in foreclosure. He never cared about stuff like that, but he cared about these black kids who were falsely accused and then later exonerated and who had their lives ruined. He never apologized for that. He never cared about that. He just associated himself with the black elite class, you know what I mean? And through association with the black elite class, blacks, I got just like this retarded person still commenting under my stuff. I got some retarded people in my ethnic, we all got retards in our family. That's why some blacks would be like, you see all them pictures you took with Mike Tyson and blah, blah, blah. The elites associated with the elites. They don't care what color you are. You're elite. You know what I mean? You're elite. They don't care what color you are. But anyways, what these people do with our tax dollars, Marco Rubio, Trump, I'm getting back to the Semitic thing. That was the original point. I'm on part C of that now. What they'll do though with our money is that they'll support shit like this. They'll support, that Central Park. You ever been to New York? I've never been to New York, but I do know in New York though, that Central Park, just the park in the central part of New York, in Manhattan Square, or not Square, but in Manhattan, did not used to be a park. It used to belong to my people, another kind of Black Wall Street type of thing. You know what I mean? It was an affluent African-American neighborhood that was operated and owned by us and that had our land illegally took from us. And we were forced to illegally move because of a judge stating that we did not have, that we could be outbid for our land even though we owned it. Even though previously in other court cases and court findings, that same judge in that same criminal court decided that no, these Irish Americans or these Italian Americans could keep their property and that the government could not just come and seize their land. But when it comes to my people, the playing field is never level. And that's what these bigots and these, and I'm not calling them racist. I'm just going to call them bigots. Bigots are usually their intelligence is studied and focused on one particular area. They're retarded. And again, I used to be a bigot. I used to be retarded. So I understand the whole playbook. And so they won't focus on that type of information. You know what I mean? They'll just focus on saying that, do we know who our dads are? Do you people stop going to jail? They won't talk about why mass incarceration happened. They won't talk about where did these drugs come from in my neighborhoods. They won't talk about any of that stuff. They'll just focus on the after effect because that's what idiots like to do. They just like to focus on one point. But I like to talk about all of it. GW, you're an idiot. And people that think like you are idiots. And I can't stand you people at all. What you think about that? So back to my point, though, because I know I've been sporadic with this live, but I appreciate you guys being here. For those of y'all that's going to be watching this back, the original intent and purpose of this live was to discuss the origins of Semitism and what Semitism actually is and the origins of just kind of like the world that we live in. And what are you actually supporting when you support a pro-Israel state? What are you actually supporting? Are you actually supporting Jews going back to their ethnic homeland? It sounds good on paper, but in theory, it sounds good on paper. But in actuality, what you have is you have hijackers of culture, which is what you people do. People like GW, whatever the case may be. You don't have to say bye to me. You were never welcome in the first place. But I do like the conversation. So, the conversation was welcome. But you personally, I could care less about you. But anyways, what those people like to do is they like to hijack culture and assimilate to things that have nothing to do with them. They like to assimilate to things that had nothing to do with them. So when you support a state like Israel, you're supporting a fallacy, meaning you're supporting liars. You're not supporting actual Israelites. The actual Israelites have been scattered traditionally from their homeland. Just read their ancestral books, and that'll tell you the history of Israelites. You know who the Israelites were described as? Let's just talk about that for a little bit. The Israelites were described as, and what the Lord thy God has done to Israelites. And until the reckoning of Israel and the return of our homeland, what the Lord thy God has done, he said that you would be mocked everywhere that you go. That foreigners will claim divine right and would take over your blessings and coming to your homes like scavengers. That you would be scattered through all four corners of this earth. That you would find no ally wherever you go. That you would be murdered without cause. That you would be robbed of language and culture. And that you would be set aside while others are promoted in your face. Who does that sound like? Who's that sound like? I got about 10 more minutes, y'all. If you peep what I'm putting down, that doesn't sound like anybody. That doesn't sound like the current Israelites that we're looking at right now. That doesn't sound like them at all. That's not them. That's not them at all. It sounds like somebody else. Right? It sounds like this person trying to saying they're trolling, but again, your trolling is what you're probably not even white, dude. You're probably like Filipino or Indian or something. You know what I mean? A lot of you people like to identify with whiteness too, And you could be, I don't care about your trolling. Again, I don't even, I'm not even upset with you. Like I'm not, I like the intellectual, like I like to see how you, like all you guys have the same arguments. Like all you guys say the same stuff when it comes to my people. And it's like, it's exhausting from an intellectual standpoint. It's just exhausting because it's like, okay, did you hear what I just said? No, you're a nigger. Like that's your argument. That's your argument. Did you hear what I said? No, because you're a nigger. That's your argument. And that's just like exhausting. You know what I mean? That can get exhausting if you allow it. But anyways, if you support the state of Israel, you are supporting genocide. And that's a fact right now. If you support Israel today, you are supporting genocide. You are supporting a people who have hijacked an historical, prideful place that does not belong to them. Never said you did. I'm just saying your type of rhetoric, you stating, do you know where my dad is? Do you people have anything to contribute to society? That's all nigger language. I don't care if you use the word. I don't care if you used it right now. You know what I mean? Because you and your opinion don't mean anything to me. I'm just saying that people like you, regardless if it is you or not, people like you. And the reason that you guys use these arguments towards my people is because you people don't have anything of substance or anything intellectually going on up here. Your only claim to dominance, or your only claim to superiority, or your only claim to having anything of substance to say is to make particularly your only claim is anti-blackness. Anti-blackness because it's something that's been adopted in the known world. It gives you strength. You people like to gang up. You people like to stick to a script. And I'm telling you, I understand your script. I've read the script. I know what you're gonna say. It's nothing intellectual. Did you hear what I said? What have we contributed to the world? I just told you. You can't trace your ancestry back to the 1800s. Why do you think that is? So that makes me less than you as a person? I don't know. You would have to do your own internal diagnostics to figure that out. The Lord didn't come for those people. The troll person's salvation isn't for their kind at all. Ignore it. I know, Miss Nikki. This is kind of like a lyrical exercise for me today. I didn't work out today, so this is kind of like my punching today. I kind of like it. So, I apologize if I'm, making anybody feel uncomfortable. Well, I don't apologize for anything, but I appreciate your attention here. But just know that I don't like evil. And even though this person is claiming to be having a joke at my expense on my channel, it still represents an overall conversation of evil that I just find deplorable and I find kind of ratchet. And since I find it ratchet, I have to attack it whenever I feel the need to. It kind of makes me feel good. about myself. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good to tell somebody that they're an idiot and then to prove it with historical context and with relevant factual context as of now. And then to have them say the same thing to me. Like whatever this person just said now. Let's see what they said. It's not your fault. You won't get a DNA test. That's kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie. It's somebody that knows you, it seems. This person don't know me. The Lord didn't come for those people. The Lord didn't come for those people. So, if we're going to keep this in like a religious context, since we're talking about Semitism, since we're talking about Israel, if we're going to keep this in a religious context, let's just talk about what the Lord said he would do. Well, the Lord said that he would avenge his people. The Lord said that we would be set aside for a time, that we would be hated throughout the world, that we would be mocked openly, that we would be criticized, that we would be critiqued, that we would be laughed at wherever we go. And I don't know about you, but anywhere that I go on the planet, regardless of my intellectual standard, regardless of my physical caliber, regardless of anything that makes me just stand out and makes me unique and just makes me a beautiful human being. I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about my ethnic group. Anywhere we go, that nigger connotation is following us wherever we go in the world, no matter where we go in the world. So I don't know about you, but if I'm just going off of just historical scripture, those people, they have to wear a Star of David on their neck in order for you to understand that they're Jewish. My people, you just look at us, oh, that's a nigga. Why is that? Just my people. Just us. Just us. Nobody else. Ain't nobody else getting smacked up beside the head. Just me. Dang. You know what I'm saying? That's all that is, bro. That's all that is. He only came for the 12 tribes of Israel. Yeah, I came for the tribe of Judah. But also, you gotta, I'm not a black supremacist. Yes, he came to fulfill the laws of all. He came to fulfill the laws of Moses. He also came to He also came to shed blood for the 12 tribes, and he only came specifically. He said himself he came specifically for the tribe of Judah. I came for Judah, but also you got to read more into scripture because Gentiles do have the option for salvation as well. Gentiles can get saved as well. That's the grace and that's the beauty of our Lord Jesus Christ, or Yahashua. That's the beauty of him. Because Gentiles do have salvation as well. You got to read further into the scripture. Like, for example, remember when that Samaritan woman, I believe it was Samaritan, correct? When she came and Jesus was irritated because I believe they just executed John the Baptist. And so he had to go set aside for himself. He needed some time to cool off. Like his cousin just got murdered. You know what I'm saying? His cousin just got murdered. So he had to go sit aside for himself. So since he had to go sit aside for himself, this Samaritan woman, I'm going to assume she was probably like a European type. She came to him and she was crying, Abba, 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 teacher, 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 please heal my son, heal my son. And Jesus was like, he basically called her, he basically called her a bitch. He was like, I came for the tribe of Judah. Like, I didn't come for dogs. Essentially, I didn't come for the dogs. And then the Samaritan woman, and this is when he loved her faith. And this is how I knew. Well, this is also an example of how he came to save the Gentiles as well, because then Jesus was like, the lady was like, yes, I came. He said, I came for the tribe of Judah. I came to save my people. And then I didn't come for you dogs. And then she was like, yes, but even dogs eat the crumbs off of their master's table. So basically, yeah, I know you came for your people, and I know you're a righteous man, and I know we've been persecuting your people and subjecting your people to mass slavery, incarceration, to mass murder, to mass humiliation, but please have mercy on us, because I see that even a whisper of your grace will be sufficient for me. She said that, and Jesus was like surprised with her. He was like, you know what? I like you. Your faith has saved you. Your faith has saved you because you were able to see through my pain. You saw past my pain and you didn't take it personal. That I said, I didn't come for you, motherfucker. I came for my people. You saw past my pain. That's what made her beautiful to him in the eyes of Yahashua. Go read it for yourself, for sure. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I interpret it. She saw past his pain and didn't take it personal. She was like, I know we've been fucked up to y'all. I know it. But I see you. I see you. Please have mercy. So that's the beauty of my race. And I wonder, I do sit back and wonder, these Jews, because in Islam and in traditional Judaism, they worship a black box, which represents the black Messiah, the black God. But they don't really talk about that as just an outward, like when they show images of Jesus or images of what they believe in, images of Moses, they don't depict them as being the black skin that they were. Like, I wonder if they really knew who these people were and what they look like, what they really believe, what they believe. I don't know. I don't know. If you really cared about your people, you would know that they came from Louisiana, where they were brought in. Okay, you're talking about, now you're just making my point when I'm talking about the Moors having jurisdiction and having influence over all the known world. I'm glad to know that you're not, at least ignorant. You know what I mean? I'm glad to know that, you know a little something. Yeah. Now you're just, now I guess we can have the conversation about the Moorish wars of the 1500s between France and the Moors. You know what I mean? The Muslim Moors that were already in the Americas, to my original point. Now you're just making my original point. So good job. Good job. Facts. The Gentiles, like the GW person, is lucky that our God is showing mercy towards them. Yeah, bro. And again, I'm not stating that we need to make other ethnic groups of people feel bad. And for those of y'all that's gonna be watching this back, I'm not a black supremacist. I'm not a Nation of Islam. I'm not any of those things. I'm pro-truth. And the truth is, the reason that our Lord came in a black form is because he knew that there would be times where we wouldn't be celebrated or we would be persecuted literally for the color of our skin tone or our ethnic identity. So that's how purposeful our God is because he already saw the play. So he sent his son, or he incarnated in himself the original man's DNA to show up into a group that would be persecuted. And if people really want to believe in him, they will believe in the lesser of people, because the lesser of us is the greater of us. This live has been all over the place, and I apologize about that, guys, but it's been good to get this information off. It's been good to get this lyrical exercise off. Make sure I hope y'all getting y'all sleep too, because my sleep schedule has been all wacky. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I've been getting it back. You know what I'm saying? I've been getting it back together. Our people need to feel bad because some of our people and ancestors did bad. Are you saying none of our people? Are you saying no? Are you saying that you do need to feel bad? Which are you saying before I respond to that? No, our people need to feel bad because some of our people and ancestors did bad things to yours. Yeah, bad things is an understatement, and continue. So you know what the term insidious means? Insidious means that it's done to a point where you can't even like pinpoint it anymore. It's just ingrained into culture, like modern medicine, or just the political atmosphere. Like, for example, I've mentioned this a few times on my channel too, but I'll mention it again. The reason we don't have universal health care in this country, unlike European countries, some European countries, the reason we don't have